I'm Kevin O'Dell. I'm Professor of Behaviour Genetics here at the University of Glasgow. And over the last 15, 20 years or so, I've done quite a lot of public engagement work to a whole array of different groups, but particularly to young adults and teenagers. There was a period of time where I really did get involved in quite a substantial comedy science project. And this all started when somebody knocked on my door and told me that they were interested in doing some zombie science shows with a kind of biology flavour. It was really entertaining. It was quite ridiculous in a really positive way. It got the audience really heavily involved, but I think they would admit there wasn't a huge amount of real biology in it. So we kind of sat down and came up with a plan and used the fact that we're all good at different things to pull this show together. We got a small grant from the Wellcome Trust, which would allow us to employ a comedy writer for 6 months to write something and start a show. They then really liked it. And then we got quite a substantial funding from the Wellcome Trust later on to expand these zombie science shows. The idea was to infuse young people about science, really, but biology in particular. Really, it was putting some really quite detailed science about infectious disease and so on in a context that we thought they would find really entertaining. And so they're more likely to listen to it and more likely to understand it. So we presented this to schools, comedy festivals, music festivals, and so on. Predominantly events where you wouldn't normally see science in any way. We particularly targeted schools that we felt were not normally interacted with the University of Glasgow. They were both quite pleased, I think, and quite surprised that the University of Glasgow was doing something like this. Our finest moment, I think, was the fact that within the show, there was a scene where to protect yourself against this infection, you'd have to wash your hands, and you can do lots of slightly rude things which are implied but not stated in any way when you're kind of washing your hands, and that was how you protect yourself against an infectious disease. This was 10 years ago, and quite a few of the teachers said that was great, it was really funny. But if there's a real infection, no, washing your hands will never be the main way everyone's going to protect themselves. And of course, 5 years later, we realised how wrong they all were and how right we were in that sense. And quite funny enough, looking back at that, quite a lot of the things that we did in the show were really good predictors of what happened during the COVID pandemic as well. So it was we were quite pleased with ourselves at that point.